So you just sang two songs for us in the office. One with your cartoons, and that was this cartoon about the history. It's part of your history of communism series, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about your cartooning.
Well, I mean, I've done comic books pretty much my whole life. I just kind of grew up with them, and that was always what I figured I'd be doing. And I'm still making comic books, but music is just so much more. Music is such a bigger part of people's lives. All the music stuff sort of took off for me in an unexpected way. It was kind of almost while I'd be working on my comics, I was just kind of messing around with music a bit on the side.
This series that you played for us today is part of your History of Communism series. Which, how many parts is it going to have?
Probably maybe it'll have like 8 all in all, or 9. I did a history of the Fall. I'm a big fan of the band The Fall, and I did a show with them in 2004, so I did an illustrated history of the Fall to do with the show. And then I was like, well, why am I doing all this stuff just about music? There's so much more interesting stuff out in the world other than indie rock about indie rock. So the first thing that came to mind was like, I could do something of much more wide social and historical importance, such as communism. So that was just going to be the next book that I did, and then as soon as I started researching it, I was like, I really need to do this in multi-part chapters because there's just so many amazing details.
And the other song you played was Roll Bus Roll, which is from the new album, MRI. So tell me a little bit about that song. I think, I'll blab about it first. I think one of the things I like about a lot of your songs is they're very literal. I think most music, especially most indie rock now, doesn't really mean anything, which can be good, but the sort of vagueness I oftentimes find very annoying. And I think that your songs, most often, they're hooked to something.
A lot of times in the summer, for years and years, anytime I had the chance, I would escape to. I've got this little shack up in the woods in Maine. It's just kind of no electricity, and there's a Greyhound bus that leaves at midnight on any given night, and it's this. It's a very strange feeling to just kind of be like, oh, maybe tonight, maybe tonight's the night. I'm just going to take off and just have this kind of mind-warping all-night ride where you can't quite get to sleep. And you're in this sort of dazed state, and the usual Greyhound experience of all sorts of interesting characters on the bus, and then finally sort of come out of this dazed experience 10 hours later in the middle of nowhere, in the woods in Maine, and it's like, oh my God, what have I just done? I'm completely isolated and totally lonely, and I'm going to be here for a few weeks.